Glock 26 is undoubtedly the standard by which all other EDC pistols are based. So it is the one that set the standard, and everybody is measured against this pistol. So am I saying that this makes it the perfect pistol? No. I actually would prefer the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 subcompact, whether that's in 9mm or 40. I have the 40 version. I don't have the 9mm version, but if you're going to compare it apples to apples, I would say it beats out the Glock 27 or Glock 26 very easily. Now, is it smaller? Not really. Does it have more holster options? It's about the same. It has about the same in magazine options and capacity. Its shootability is better, and you know, it's not as common as the Glock 27 or Glock 26. It is very reliable, it's very shootable, easy to maintain, it has a good amount of options but not as many, and it's simple to operate. So yes, we compare almost everything to the Glock 26 or Glock 27 in order to see if it passes muster. Now the principles that it's always got to follow that the Glock has is reliability, shootability, ease of maintenance, aftermarket options, and product support, and simplicity, or user-friendliness. So those are the standards by which, you know, everybody bases their new pistols that come on the market. So, you know, they all have to pass that test, and it's always going to be in a direct comparison to a Glock, because that really set the standard. The weight of the pistol, the size of the pistol, the options, the shootability, the characteristics of like the trigger. I mean, when you think of striker-fired triggers, the first picture that probably comes to a lot of people's mind is a Glock trigger, and then improvements go from there. I mean, you'll have people talk about like the Walther PPQ being the ideal out-of-the-box trigger. Well, we don't have PPQs anymore. So really it's like modified Glocks, or maybe staccatos now, like the 2011 type 1911s or whatever. I mean, you've got tiny little 1911-esque pistols on the market, but they're still compared to a Glock as far as size, weight, magazine capacity, and shootability. So, and reliability even. Now, I would not say that this pistol gets top marks in reliability, because I have had issues with it, and I've talked about that in previous videos where I started getting ka-chunk issues because I lay rounds through my pistols, and I started having issues with the recoil spring and the extractor not actually like feeding everything completely reliably. And even when I was on the range recently, I actually had issues with the slide locking open, because all it took was for a round, the head of the round, to actually hit the part of the slide stop right there. So all it had to do was bump this little piece right here. And it actually locked this open. So that could be a spring tension issue of where I need to replace this, because this is, you know, this came with the pistol, and honestly it is kind of loose, but that just kind of goes into knowing your pistol. It is very easy to maintain, so it does kind of win some points back by being easy to maintain. However, it's not infallible, right? So no, I wasn't, you know, pushing up on the slide stop or slide release lever, whatever you want to call it. I was actually, you know, had my thumbs nowhere near it, but it did lock open. Now that could have been jarring from a weak spring on the slide release lever or slide stop lever, and just the recoil alone, bouncing it up, was enough to actually, you know, bounce this up into the notch, you know, under recoil force, plus with around grazing this on its way up during the feeding process. I have seen that happen with 1911s too. New 1911s, I had a Kimber that actually had that problem. But again, the Glock is not infallible. It is not perfect out of the box. However, again, it is the standard by which others are based. And I do work well with the Glocks. There's really not much I have to do with this pistol to be happy with it. Obviously, you can see that I've got this around here. This is friction tape. And actually, I'm going to have to replace this because it's kind of lost its most of its tactile stuff. Now it's just acting like a cover for the aggressive texturing, which was really a bugger for me. I mean, the one thing I really don't like about this still is I got a blister forming right here from taking it out yesterday, and it pinches right where the magazine meets the frame. Is that a boo-hoo? I didn't even notice it until afterwards, and I was washing my hands and I was making sure I got all the lead off. I just saw that a blister was forming. I wouldn't have even noticed any other way. So it's not really that big of an issue, but you know, it can chew up your hands, and I have pretty rough calloused hands anyways, but this texturing can be pretty rough on it. Also, the sights out of the box, this is a surplus one, and it had night sights that weren't night sights anymore. They were just basically steel sights, so I painted the front to give it a little bit more draw to the eye. So it's kind of worn out a little bit, so I'm going to have to refill that in because the top half of it is gone. But still, I mean, these things are easy to shoot well. The sighting systems are very basic, and I like the standard steel sights, which are just like the OEM sights where you actually have the basket and ball. I find those to be very easy to use, and they're very intuitive, and that's one of the reasons why I got along with Glocks from the beginning. I like that sighting option. I also like the Steyr, how it actually has the trapezoidal sights with the triangle front sight and the back sight that kind of leads your eye, and wherever the tip of the triangle is pointing, that's where the bullet's going to hit. I mean, I love unique sighting systems like that are very innovative, and I do like the Glock sights because you can actually get the standard OEM steel sights and it'll have that basket and ball, and I'm actually considering going to that and just, you know, painting the front sight, you know, fluorescent pink or something like that, just to draw the eye. So it kind of acts like a fiber optic front sight. Or I could just go with standard fiber optic front sights, or I can spend $40 on the steel sights and install them myself, and then just use the fluorescent paint that I have from Hobby Lobby and just do it myself, and that's like half the cost, and it does the same thing. And I don't need to worry about the fiber optic losing its, you know, high contrast or its ability to take in light over time or anything. I don't need to worry about the bulb coming out or the rod coming out over time or anything. So, I mean, you've got a lot of options with the Glock platforms. You can change anything on these things, and it's very easy to do it yourself. You can do custom stipple jobs. You can get a polymer 80 frame and just move all this over to it. I mean, that's an option I might screw around with in the future, honestly. I mean, there's so much you can do with these pistols. It's ridiculous not to own them. I'm not really a Glock fanboy, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that these things have options, right? So I've made some modifications. There's things I'm not happy about the pistol with. However, again, this is the OG of the EDC pistols. This thing is, you know, if you take care of it, it's reliable, and it's durable, it's shootable, it's easy to maintain, has a lot of options on the market. This is your Barbie doll. This is your oyster, like, for the gun world. And it's so simple. It's so simple. It is still innovative to this day. All right? So I don't see why people would turn away from this. You got to have at least one. Get a Glock 26. You'll be happy with it. Or if you're into 40, get a Glock 27. Or if you want a, you know, kind of a niche caliber that's actually performs very well, get a Glock 33. Get a 357 SIG. Whatever. But these are great pistols. And if you're not happy with the capacity, get one of the, you know, the OEM added capacity magazines. This one is the 10 rounder that I got for this pistol, because I wasn't really a fan of basically having this on here, but it's hollowed out right here. If it's going to be at that angle, I want it to actually serve in an extra capacity role. So, you know, that's my thing. I don't want it to be, you know, 9+1 when I could actually get 10+1 and have the same size profile, right? So, with all that said, I'm not really a Glock fanboy, but the OG here deserves some credit, and it deserves some love, and I'm here to give it to it. So I wrote an article about this, and hopefully you'll check it out on my website, doitrightak.com, linked in the description below, and go ahead and check out some of my articles on there, and don't be afraid to leave a comment on my articles or here on the video. Let me know what you think, and you guys have a good one.